class, and I'm going to teach you how to
Put like
draw
that, Clement.
Goofy, the one and only. Before we
Go
get
like
started,
that.
though, there's a couple things we're going to go over really
Forward.
quickly. First, we also have another artist named Kate. She's up on the top of the stairs and greeted you as
You
you
have a
walked in.
paper.
She's going to be here for our, like TA, or like teacher's assistant. She's going to be here to help you out if you need anything at all. Paper, pencil, help with your drawing. Let us know if you need anything. Either one of us. Keep your hand up nice and high so that we can see you. If you need to leave us for whatever reason, you're going to go back up the stairs and push on that last one, just like Katie showed us, and that'll lead you outside to the courtyard where you were waiting for the class. All right, that's the basic rundown of the class here. How many of you have never been here before? This is your first ever class, and you're thinking, what is going on? Okay, a lot of you. All right, perfect. There's a lot of artists and new artists out there. There's a lot of alumni too, though. A lot of our seasoned pros are back, so it's good to see you. Welcome back. Yeah. New artists, you'll notice if you haven't already, you're about to find out. No erasers. That's because we practice what we call our rough sketching. So if you look over here on the wall real quick, Mushu was drawn in 5 different ways by 5 different artists, right? And they all look a little different. Sure, those are a little bit more complete, but even though all of those drawings still started the same way you are about to start right now, so very roughly and very loosely, very messy as well. All of the movies, in fact, all start this way. This is the beginning of all animation. Even 3D films like Incredible Student, anybody see that recently? Yeah, exactly. That movie has a lot of 2D influence in that film. As a matter of fact, Pixar, as well as Disney, always release these books called Art Of. And it shows you how this entire process of making a film works. And you're going to see a lot of this rough, sketchy line work. So it's really throw out trying to be perfect out the window. If you follow along here on the screen behind me, you're going to get to see your own drawing come to life right in the same exact process. So, with that being said, are we ready to begin our class? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's do this. All right, so for our classes today, in this class, we're going to be drawing Goofy, the one and only, one of my favorite characters. He is going to start off with a basic shape, just like everyone else does. For him, it's going to be a circle. The only thing we have to keep in mind for Mr. Goofy here is that he's got this really big lower jaw, right? It's part of his comedic character. So I start in the middle of my page and move upwards towards the upper center. So around here, I'm going to give myself a circle about the size of a baseball or an orange. What I do here is I lock my arm, lock my wrist, and I'll continuously go back and forth until I get a shape that I like. And then very slowly, I'll apply the pencil to the paper. Now I'll go back and forth, blending my curves together. They don't need to be perfect. We just want a circle that we can work with. Alright, first row is looking good. For any character, really, we want to add in what we call these guidelines. For Goofy, I'm going to start in the middle of the center of my paper, or the circle at the top. And then I'm just going to drag down this line all the way down very lightly. Remember, we want space for that chin, so I'm actually going to extend this way past my circle. Even if we don't use that whole curve or that whole line, it's still very nice to have it as a visual guide. Alright, next up we want to give Goofy an eye line. Goofy has these really big, long, expressive eyes. So we want to take up that whole circle. So the center line is not going to be in the center, it's going to be a little bit lower, right on here. But once I have the construction for Goofy, this is all that we need, believe it or not, I'm going to go ahead and start to add in the details. So to build up Goofy's big muzzle line, right, he is a dog, I'm going to give myself more ovals. So I'll start over here on the left, and right underneath my circle, I'm going to draw in an oval. I'll do the same exact step on the right. If you were to turn your paper upside down at this point, you would see a hidden Mickey. Ha ha ha. For Goofy, though, he's got another oval that bridges those two together. It's going to be his nose. So once I'm confident with my oval shapes that I have now, I'm going to go ahead and combine the two with a slightly smaller oval. It's a little bit more squished, but it's going to go right on top. Now, a lot of time animators and sketch artists give themselves anchoring points for a character that helps them naturally kind of add in all the details. For Goofy, the nose is perfect for that. So I'm going to go back across my shape and lock this in. I'm going to darken those edges. We don't have erasers, right, obviously, but these darker lines sort of do that same work for us. Because already we can way see that darker nose versus those sketchy lines. Alright, Goofy has this really large snout line, this big nose, this big snout, he's a dog. So in our view, we're just going to see two of these curves. So one is going to pull the most around that nose. It's going to be really long. And the second one is just barely poking outside of our circle, into our circle. Now all of this still doesn't really make much sense, but the top snout line is going to link all of this together. So on the far left corners of that top snout line, I'm going to go ahead and draw in Goofy's big cheeks. So I'm going to go on the right, and I'm going to sketch in this big hill shape. And I'll do the same thing on the left. Now in a sketch drawing, right, if your lines don't match up, if they're too big, too small, what have you, drawing in a new line is really going to correct everything and anything. For me, the snout line doesn't quite touch those cheeks, right? So all I'm going to do is add in some new curves for all those lines. Now inside the cheek, I'm going to draw in these curvy letter T's. These are going to be his smile lines. So I'll add in these curves right above my ovals here, forming this small little curvy T. Now, you'll find that as soon as you add in those cheeks, this is kind of starting to blend together, right? Those big ovals are now going to create what we call his muzzle line. So quite simply, starting from the smile, I'm going to go ahead and start to trace out these ovals. And just like I said earlier, if your ovals were maybe too big, add a smaller line. For me, I kind of decided to make them a little larger. It's all up to you. Adding in new curves is going to add you a successful drawing. So go back across your sketch, lock in your favorite oval lines, and I'm going to actually connect these two together with this little slope right in the center. And that's going to give us Goofy's main muzzle. Alright. Now I'm going to move downwards and I'm going to add in probably the biggest comedic feature Goofy has, right? Those really big buck teeth. Now in animation, you use a lot of the same lines for different things. So in our case, the cheek line is also going to become that tooth line. You'll see what I mean. Starting over here on the left, very lightly, really lightly, I'm going to lightly sketch through the outer edges of that cheek, right? And wherever my line exits the muzzle, that's going to give me the tooth line. Right? So I have the tooth on the left, and then I'll do the same thing on the right. Bless you. Now think of these teeth more like marshmallows. It might sound strange at first, but Goofy has these really big rounded teeth. So what I'm going to do to show this is I'm going to first add in the letter U, right, kind of rough it in there. And then I'm going to get rid of these pointed edges here, simply by going over with a darker line and rounding off those edges. Now when you see sharp points or jagged edges, especially in teeth, those characters are usually always bad, right? They're usually villainous. Like Jafar, if you look at Jafar's design, he's pointed everywhere. Fingers, chin, face, that guy's bad, right? For someone like Goofy, he's supposed to be funny, goofy, kind of comedic, so you're not going to see that at all. Alright, we want to give him a lower chin, but just like I was mentioning earlier, those cheek lines we can use as another sort of shortcut, right? So instead of trying to guess where that jaw starts, logically, it's going to start from behind those cheeks. So once again, I'll start on the left, and then very lightly, I'll sketch through this big letter U curve, right towards the middle. Now since I already have one curve, I really don't need to measure out the second side. All I'll have to do really is just pull up another curve. And that's going to right away give me his lower chin.
You connect.
Now Goofy also has this really big overbite, right? So the top of his lips will always fold over the bottom lip. So to kind of show that comedicness to him, all I'm going to add is just another little curve. Just to show that his smile is being sort of covered up by the top. Alright, and that's it for the bottom portion of our Goofy. It's a lot to take in, right? But go ahead and take this time to take a break, or we can add in some extra credit to our sketch. I'm going to add in some little whiskers to his muzzle line here. You can add in as little or as many as you like. We can also add in some dots too. But this is about the halfway point, so we can take a little break, breathe a little bit. But at this moment, how are we feeling about our drawings or about the process? Pretty good. Okay, so some thumbs, some shakiness of the head. We're kind of all around the board here. But as we catch along here, Goofy had experienced a lot of changes throughout his career. Right? Does anybody know what Goofy was actually known as? Dippy Dog, yeah, he was originally called Dippy Dog. Kind of to match that alliteration, right, for Donald Duck, Mickey, Mickey Mouse, Dippy Dog. But Goofy experienced even more changes from there. At one point, he was actually more responsible, kind of clean kind of guy. Didn't have any buck teeth, and he was known as just George. So that was very awkward, right? It didn't really kind of catch on with audiences. They're like, what happened to Goofy? Who's this new
Look
guy?
at Cleto.
So they then went back to how he's known today. Alright, now finally we want to add in Goofy's really big expression. He's got these huge eyes.
Wala pa.
So I'm going to go to the top of my circle and I'm going to add in this curvy letter V. Now Goofy's eyes are so close together that it forms one gigantic eyeball, right? It helps further for his comedicness. From here though, I'm going to actually trace over the circle on either corner. And then I'm actually going to pull this into the inner cheeks. And that's going to give us that big eye. Do the same exact step on the right side. If you don't get this quite right the first way around, again, just go back and forth, blending your curves together to give you the shape you like. Now because he's got one gigantic eye technically, we're not going to add in the separation between the two eyes. So those pupils, you can draw them in any way you like. I'm going to keep it simple though, and I'm going to add one full oval on the left. And then per his personality, maybe we could shrink the other one. The pupils though, it's very important to really lock this in. If anything at all, this should be the darkest portion on your drawing. So really darken this in. Now especially for Goofy, he's going to have these really big expressive eyebrows as well. I'm actually going to use the same exact process. I'll add in a curvy V right above those eyes. But when I actually turn around, I'm only going to pull this feature about halfway down his head. I'm not going to go all the way. Now framing in these eyebrows, we can see our final step, right? We can finally close off his head. So if you got some circle lines that are nearby, trace them over. If, however, your circle doesn't match, that's okay. Add in new curves, like for here, right? I didn't have a sketchy line here, I just added a new one. What we want to do, though, is add in Goofy's ears. So I'm going to add in these little bumps. Throughout Goofy's career, he's worn a lot of hats, right? He's done a lot of things. He owns a candy shop here. He's a chef. He has a cool son named Max who snuck into a concert, right? He's even a prominent character in the video game Kingdom Hearts. So if you want to add any hat you like, go for it. We, however, really need those ears, though. On the far left, what I like to do is I like to just pull out these big curves. I don't really think about it, honestly. I just go back and forth, and it'll give me a nice curve that I like. Well, I can do the same thing on the right side. The important thing to do, though, is wherever you added in this big curve, to add in a letter U shape, or this teardrop, right at the end. And then simply, I'm going to follow that edge all the way back up to the edge of his head. As we get closer, though, these ears will get thinner and thinner. And just like that, it's going to give us Goofy's ears. And honestly, just like that even, we are done with our drawings. Yeah. Unless you want to go back and add in any extra credit, you are more than welcome to. However, this is all that we need for Sketch of Goofy. I can add in like 3 flicks of my pencil up to the top of his head to give him some hair. But when all is said and done, find a spot on your page and leave an artist's signature. Because that is our way for little Goofy here, Dippy Dog. Or as he was once known as just George. How awkward is that, right? Alright, but on the count of 3, what we're going to do is we're going to show these off. Even if you're not done with your drawing, or if you're not happy, it's still really cool, just like those artists up there, to see how different all of your work is, right? So on the count of 3, boards up, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Goofy, George, Keith over here. Let's see these. Looking good. Very nice circle here in the front. Nice job on all of these.
Signature.
Looking great. I'm loving the funny expressions on a lot of these. You did almost the whole body. Love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, looking great over here in the front corner. Nice job over here as well. These are looking so great. Love these. A lot of you opted to add in different kinds of hats. I love your creativity. Well, these all look fantastic. So how about a round of applause for you and everyone around you for a job well done, everyone. Yes. All right. Well, that is it for Goofy, everybody. Next up, we're going to